SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. Man, that is beyond long.
Look at this. He's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess. Hello, world, huh?
Welcome, everybody, to episode 80 of the SmashFactor, the 2019 BMW Championship, second week of the FedEx Cup Playoffs, second of 3 weeks, now with the reduction schedule. Last major big pot pools for DK. I assume they'll have some DK next week, but haven't heard otherwise. I actually reached out to one of our reps to see if they could explain exactly what they were going to have and how they planned on scoring it, just so we could get a little leg up. I'll update that come Wednesday on the E9. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to guess that these pots this week and the contests they got going are going to be the last big ones, which there are.
Oh, we're live again? Sweet. All right. Awesome. Well, we went out for like 20 seconds, but yes, Gup and I are together. First time in like 6 weeks. JB is on the road. That's why we went out for a little while there. If it happens again, it's life. But I'm doing well. Last week was a fun week. It was nice to kind of sweat again. I decided to go really heavy stars and scrubs in my main lineup, which I had in like the 2100 and everything else, with not only Connors, but Denny McCarthy. So both guys there are like 6,600 or below. Denny obviously missed the cut, but in my core last week was Reed. And so overall, coming down to the last, I was dropping my daughter off at summer camp in the middle of BFE, West Virginia, and had zero service the entire day Sunday until the last two holes of the event. And when I checked the last two holes of the event, I was literally bubbling every single event with my main lineup, and I was furious. And so I turned off DK, down, went to dinner, checked about an hour later, and found out that I guess it was Rom on 18 or something, but something happened and I was bumped up in every single contest, ended up cashing, was in for like $2,500 last week or 3,000, something like that, and ended up cashing like 5,100. So solid week. Felt really good about the core. I knew Denny was going to be a long shot, but out of the 5 lineups I had last week, 4 ended up cashing in all of the events, like the 44, that kind of thing. So overall, it was a great week, and the core was right there, whiffed on Denny. What about you, Gup? How was your week?
Well, DJ apparently lost his driver Friday night. And with that, my DK winnings went massively down from Friday night to Sunday night. Was a dramatic change. As I said Wednesday night, if you're going to give me DJ at what I thought would be like 14, 15%, he wound up coming in at like 10 or 9, which is just still asinine to me. I was pretty heavy on DJ. Morcala's heavy on. I had some HV3. So I had enough in there to kind of get it all back almost at the end. I lost 25. I thought I lost 35%, so I said in Slack last night, but I actually come to find it because I kind of did what you did. I was kind of out of it. And then hindsight, Answer making the putt on 18 swung me like $1,000 between Showdown and Main, because he got this. I don't know if it was solo second or whatever he wanted. It would have dropped him a spot plus moved people up, and it would really hurt me. I think it would have moved Rom up as well, or at least in a tie. And that one putt gave me, I wanted to get 75% back, which I'll take considering DJ goes +5 on the weekend. If he goes -5 on the weekend, I probably, have a 5-figure week, but such as DFS. Betting wise, small loss, had CT Pan Saturday up 3 shots through 12, I think. And if he wins that match, we sweep the board and the parlay Saturday, so it would have been a massive week. But he lost it. He was a 2-star play, so small loss on the week. Overall, it is what it is in those kind of events. Pleased with the outcome. Ready to get back into this week, which historically has been one of my favorite type of deals to do, a no cut 70-man. Just because you have any good names up there. I think I may be cutting out now. So it was okay week. I did get the listener SmashFactor winner.
While you're saying
league.
that, big shout out to Tambo on the massive week. Even with and that's what's great about DFS and his style of play. It just takes one lineup. I think he was 15% Tiger and still ended up winning 20 grand on the week, which was phenomenal. He's been grinding for weeks. So kudos to you, Tambo.
Yeah, big week for Tambo. Struggled there at the end with Rom, but still wind up with the massive cash. So congrats to him. Listener league winner had Rom, Cantlay, Reed, Usti, Harmon, and Bradley. Pretty salty team, really, all the way around. Had 550 points. M Plant E 511 is his name. I don't know if he's in the Slack or not, but congrats to him. Massive week. Probably would have done well anywhere else. So it was a pretty tight race up there at top. Sometimes people run away with it, but top 5 or 6 are all right there within each other. Any final thoughts from that week before we head into the BMW?
No, last week's over. Let's kick it off.
Yeah. So before we get into the course preview that is well known in the industry by now, sponsors and affiliates of the week. Thrive Fantasy app. Download the Thrive Fantasy app. Use the promo code GUP. Get $10 free with your first $20 deposit. Deposit bonus is limited time, so get it while you can. This is a true free $20 deposit, or free $10 with $20 deposited. Play it. If you win, you pull it out. There's no rollover, nothing like that. With football season coming up, we're going to have you covered wall to wall on that, so it'll be a great app to have and try out their platform. Fanshare Sports Pro had the pretty big promos they had going out today. Use the code GUP, get 20% off. One of the best or top of in the NFL wise as far as projections, ownership wise, which is huge in the NFL. It's big in golf, but it's very big in the NFL as well. They have a new platform, new content, they've really revamped their whole system. So we're looking forward to continuing our relationship with them. All these are going to be on the website under gupscorner.com/affiliates, and you can get the direct links if you don't want to write all this down. As always, fantasynational.com. Go to fantasynational.com/gup and get 20% off your next subscription. If you think, why would I do that? Golf season's over. If you discount next week, we get like a 2.5 week break. And we're
24/7, homie. It's 24/7.
We're back in the fall swing, which we will be covering in full depth. We probably cover fall swing as good or better than anybody.
We crushed the fall swing last year. We hit Sam Ryder in his win, won like 75K that week, hit the champ. Yeah.
Yeah. So good season or good time to get aboard because you can learn some of these names will be crucial when you're looking for that $6,700 guy at the TPC in March. Get to know the web guy, stuff like that. And then our new affiliate, I'm excited to announce this one. If you want the elite or edge advantage this year in DFS or season-long football, well, now we have the answer. PFF, Pro Football Focus, if you're not familiar with that, is an official affiliate of Gup's Corner for the 2019 season. Yes, we announced last week we're going to have some awesome tools, visualizations, and all of our stuff is going to be great. This is what I would compare to what Fantasy National is for golf. This is for the deep dive, get in the weeds, spin things any way you want. Pro Football Focus, if you've not been a part of it, is very in-depth. They have great people over there. They're great to work with in setting this up. They go just a step deeper than what we'll bring, which is different than Fantasy National Golf for us. Fantasy National Golf is always going to be the in-depth, do-your-own customization. They even have, where you can go in there and input your fantasies, so a season long, your settings, what you draft,
Yep.
whatever, and it'll help you grade out and rank and prep. You can build your cheat sheet in their website. So pretty cool deal. And what they're going to give you guys for Gups Corner affiliates is 20% off either one of those packages. All that's directly on the site. You click the link on the site, gupscorner.com/affiliates. You get 20% off either one of those. It's a great product. Again, yes, we're going to have plenty of stuff covered for you, but I think if you want that in-depth extra edge, it's definitely worth looking at Pro Football Focus. Lastly, as always, rate and review on iTunes, Instagram, Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. We're going to have our preseason football kickoff show here in the next 2 weeks. When we have that, we will be doing giveaways for the Super 7, the Survivor Pool, and the GC FFL leagues. If you don't know what those are, you're in the minority because we've already sold out like most of them. The survive. I mean, there are some changes this year. We're capping things. We have certain limits on those pools. So I'd make sure you go to contest.gupscorner.com or the contest link on our main page. They're all in the same domain. Read them, check them out. If you got questions, we'll answer them. We've had so many people already compared to where we were last year. I wouldn't wait to join. As always, 100% paid out. We charge no hosting fees, no anything. This is on us to help you help us grow the brand. Check all that out. If you got questions, let us know. JB and Melinda has done an amazing job with that part of our site, and it only continues to get better. With that, Bucks, let's head to the BMW Championship and Medina Country Club. Tell us what we need to know about a course that does not get played very at all on the regular PGA Tour, but there is some majors and Ryder Cup and stuff like that, but not a lot of details out there. So what do you know for us?
It's a long. That's it, man. No, it really is, though. Like 7,600 yards, par 72, which, I mean, that's not ridiculous by tour standards, being a par 72. But what's crazy about it is that a few of the par 5s and a par 4 are reachable. And so that means the other 15 holes are just silly long. I mean, you got the 13th hole, which is a 245-yard par 3 over water. And so you got some just monstrous holes out here. And then once you get past just the pure yardage, you have 28-yard wide fairways on average across the entire golf course. And that's whether you're hitting it 285 yards off the tee, 310 off the tee. It stays pretty consistent at 28 yards. So this golf course has the length to test all of these players. And the weather for the past few weeks out there in Illinois has been really hot, really dry. And so the course is super firm right now. The rough is long but not thick. With the lack of rain, the course has had a hard time really growing the thickness of the rough. Obviously, there's rain tonight out there, and so that could change. There's a little bit of rain in the forecast that could change, but overall, with as water-starved as the golf course is, I fully expect it to drive really, really quick. And the biggest difference you'll see this week compared to like the 2006 PGA is that it is dry. The greens will be firmer. The greens will be drier. It's going to be harder to hold. And then when you look at the average approach shot being close to 185, 190, 195, something like that, I mean, you're looking at a really long golf course and a strong test of golf. I mean, I would say the winning score is going to be somewhere around 11, 12 under, something like that. But overall, in my personal opinion, and we'll talk about stats here in a minute, I personally think that driving distance is going to be huge this week. One, it's a no cut, and so you got 70 guys. Two, when you look at the golf course, it's already long, and when you look at a lot of the trouble off the tee, so some of the dog legs, a lot of the fairway bunkers, if you can carry the ball 300 to 310, you can avoid a lot of that. And so you put a big advantage in the hands of the Roms, the Rorys, the DJs, the Brooks, Jason. I mean, there's a pretty big group of guys that can hit it that far in this event. But when you look at the guys like CT Pan or Answer or Kuchar even, I mean, I think they have a harder test this week because of the trouble off the tee being in their landing zones. And so it should be a fun week. I think that with the way that the course should play being a little bit firmer, that it'll play a little bit shorter, but the greens will be firmer as well. So I think you're going to see a higher missed fairway rate, higher missed green rate. But overall, it's going to be a fun test of golf. Madonna is beautiful. I remember the 2006 PGA. You can go look at videos on YouTube of the 2006 PGA. You can look up the course itself on the PGA Tour website or Madonna's website. The course is phenomenal. It was redone in 2002 to 2006 by Reese Jones, and he did a phenomenal job with the layout, with the way that they have the golf course manicured. So really, really fun week this week. I'm excited about it. What do you got going on?
It's interesting you say that. When you look at the historical, it kind of leads you to believe that guys that aren't as long can contend here. Do you think a lot of that has to do with the time of the year? Like the Ryder Cup's always in the fall, so probably really soft, really, thick, rough type stuff. Is that so? Hitting fairways are a premium. Are you downgrading hitting fairways? Or are you just saying that because equally the runoff in the fairways is going to be harder and go into the rough? So how do you grade that if you're looking at guys this week?
I think you're going to have no matter what player you are, whether you're Rory, whether you're Kuchar, whether you're CT Pan, whatever. I think if you average hitting 55% of your fairways or 70% of your fairways, I don't think you're going to hit your average this week. I think you're going to have a higher clip of fairways being missed. And so while, I would 100% prefer my guy to be in the fairway, I think that if you have a Rory McIlroy, right, hitting it 330 off the tee versus a Webb Simpson hitting it 295, and let's just say Rory hits 50% of his fairways, and let's just say Webb hits 70%, I would still rather have Rory having that 35-yard advantage on every single hole, even if 3 holes or 2 holes additional around he's in the rough, for sure. And the reason I say that, and I think the difference is, Gup, in the 2006 PGA, the 99 PGA, the course was playing much softer.
Right.
And you could come into the greens with a longer iron and still hold some of them. I think that the course is going to play firmer this week. And so coming into the greens with a shorter iron, obviously being in the fairway helps. But I think coming into the greens with a shorter iron is going to be incredibly beneficial this week.
No, and I agree. I think it's going to be imperative that we pay attention and listen to see how much rain gets there. I agree with you that after Wednesday,
absolutely.
There's not going to be a lot of weather for the tournament. And even if there was, there's 70 guys. So they're so stacked together that there's not a wave advantage. It's just more about fine-tuning who you're going to target, because if, let's say tonight they get 4 inches out of nowhere, that may change some of what you're talking about. It doesn't change the rough, but it can change the run out. Other than that, I 100% agree. I think staying in tune, listening to – luckily, which we'll get to later, we got a really great connection that we met at Wyndham, and he's given me all kinds of information. He has been there since Friday and knows every player that got in early, everybody that's played, giving me a full scouting report of the course, what it's playing, what their expectations are. He is a great dude. We had dinner with him while we were in Wyndham, and he's I'm not going to reveal what he does or what he is, because that's his pride, unless he tells me I can, but let's just say he is at 90% of the PGA Tours every week. And so with great access. And so he's a good resource for us. He's been a member of ours forever. Said he wanted to meet up, so we did. Had no idea what he did, so he never really even talked about that. And then we met him, and we're like, oh, okay. And great guy. And JB knows what I'm talking about. But I have some information on that a little bit later. Probably the next big deal of the week is the contest, right? So you get a ton of – I mean, this is as close to a major type contest pool as you – and even some of it's a little bit better than a major. There's no milli maker per se, but you got 50K up top for the 2120, 200K up top for the 888. You got 2 or 3 contests already for a single entry 555. You got the 333 3 max, a $200 single entry. You got a $100, I think it's about 30 entry max for 20K.
33 entry max.
Yeah, there you go. An $88 150 max with 100K up top, which is the only time this year they have the 88. And then you got the big $8, which is 200K up top, 147,000 entries. What say you on these contests? Would you change anything? Do you go all in? Do you say this is the last week? Do you get, aside from we're always going to preach bankroll management, but if you didn't play football and you were just taking the rest of the fall off, is there anything you do different here? Or you just stick to status quo and pick the best contest within your bankroll?
I would still pick the best contests, stay within your bankroll. Unless you have a really, really strong feeling about your core, I would stick with kind of what you've been doing. I mean, we preach bankroll management on a weekly basis. I would stay with it unless you have a really strong idea about who your core is going to be. For me, I really like obviously the 88, the 888. I really like they have a 5 max entry event this week, which is $50 5 max, which is interesting. The 333 3 max. I mean, there's a lot of really good contests out there this week. That makes it.
What's the 888 max? Is it? It's not 150, is it?
It's 33 or 37.
37.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, still crazy. I mean, but there will be people that max it out, but there's only 1,200 entries,
correct,
for 200K up top.
Right.
And when you look at like I'm looking at it now. When you look at the payout structure, you got 200K up top, and then it goes down once it loads. I don't know. But the payout structure, I was looking at. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you have 200. So here's the payout structure, which is the reason why I'm going a little bit heavier this week. In the 888, you have 200K up top, then 125K for second, 75K for third, 40K for fourth, all the way top 10. You're still in 5 figures, which is, I think, one of the only times all year you'll see something like that.
Exactly.
And then everywhere up to 225th place, you're doubling your money. Right. And so it's pretty awesome payout structure, in my opinion. Obviously, it's pretty hefty, but that same structure is followed in the $88 as well. And it so is. I personally am going a little bit heavier, but that's because I really like a few of the pieces this week. And I don't think there's going to be an event next week. So I'm going to play a little bit heavier this week.
Yeah, I think if they do anything, it's going to kind of be like the Hero World Challenge deal they have in November, because there's only like 30 guys in it. And the only thing they may do is just pull off finishing points, but it'll be a very light pot. So there won't be anything huge out there, but I think they'll run something just to run it because it's the Tour Championship. And the only reason why I say that is because they partnered with PGA, and the PGA is going to want them to run something. But I agree with you 100%. But so I as well will be heavier this week than last week, but I planned it. And we preach that in the Slack and everything else we do to say, hey, I went lighter last week because I knew I favored a 70-person no-cut event, which I knew they were already going to have bigger pots because they were already putting them out there. So I planned it. But if you were doing, say like the 88 compared to 888, if someone told you I want to do, would you rather do 30 in the $88 or 3 in the 888? Mathematically, it's easy to figure out, but which way would you go? But you made a great point. I really want to hone in on it before we get there, is that it shocks me how many people lock in their contest snap reaction before ever evaluating their pool, the players, what they like for the week. They just go to their contest. And I'm like, I know there's a chicken and an egg, but they're not going to fill up on Monday night. You can at least take all the way till Tuesday and kind of figure out, how do you feel about the pool? Do you like 40 guys this week or 3 guys this week? Because it really makes, where you're at. Do you think it's a mistake? Now, you're different because you pretty lock in pretty quickly, your pool and everything. Do you think it's a mistake?
I'm locked in.
Yeah, I know you are, and you normally are, but most people aren't. They literally go reserve, and they haven't even looked at the guys yet. Do you think that's a mistake or no?
No, I don't think it's a mistake to do that. I would say when you determine now you can't wait too long in a week like this because like the 888 is only 1,200 entries or something like that.
Right.
And so if you're gonna play it, you can't wait too long. But
Sure.
let's just say you're getting to tomorrow afternoon before you go snap reserve everything. If you haven't already, I would definitely look at the player pool and build a lineup.
Correct.
Just one single lineup, run through the entire list on DK. It's only 70 golfers this week, so run through the entire list. And if you gravitate after looking at things to like 2 or 3 or 4 guys, and you think that you can build the lineups around that core, then sure, have at it, man. Like if you think that those 3 guys are it and you're positive of it, then I would strongly consider building like 30 in the 88,
right?
And kind of building all around it. But if like for me, I think I'm going to end up with 5 in the 888, and that's because there's 2 different build strategies for me this week, and I know we'll get to it here in a little bit. But like when I look, the first person I immediately want is Rory. And then there's a couple other guys in the high 9s that I want. But in doing so, I have to go super low. And in a no-cut 70-field event, that's fine.
Sure.
But there's also a lot of guys in the mid-low 9s that I love and a lot of guys in the low 7s I love. And so you kind of have this more balanced build versus stars and scrubs. And so for me, I started out the week going, okay, I'm going to be 100% Rory. And I built my 3 Rory lineups. And then I said, well, I really like these guys and I don't have any of them. So I'm going to build 2 more and kind of go more balanced, that kind of thing. So it all depends on kind of who you really like and how you want to get there. But I mean, we'll talk about it. And well, we can talk about it now. I personally think that this is, listen, it's no cut. You got four rounds going out for every guy. And so you can take higher risk this week. You can get crazy with your lineups and still get 4 rounds. And it's not like the guys down low are scrubs. You got Ryan Palmer, $6,200 this week. I mean, you got some solid players, especially solid no-cut event players that are down low. And so you can get crazy this week with your lineups. And I'm interested to see what the ownership will be because most people don't even bother going down that low.
No, because I think a lot of people make the mistake that the same 6,500 guy in this event's as shitty as the same 6,500 in the Sanderson Farm, and that's just not the case. But and we're on the same page here 100%. We went a little longer there on contest because everybody loved the contest strategy a couple of weeks ago when I did it. And being it's such a short field, we don't have a lot to talk about this week. We're going to talk about the guys, but at the end of the day, there's only 70. And like Buck said, everybody's playing. You're going to have to make super tough fades and pivots and plays and stands, which the next 48 hours is where that's going to come. Exactly. And that's where it's important to be a part of the Slack and E9 and all that. Tonight, we're just kind of laying the foundation and talking about, shooting from the hip type of guys. With that, we'll go into our Dirty Dozen. If you're new, which we continuously have a lot of new downloads on iTunes, which we greatly appreciate. iTunes has switched their format. Last week, we cracked the top 10, maybe top 5 in the sports/fantasy sports podcast. Big shout out to Rick for filling in last week. And so we want to be top 3 this week. Spread the word, help us out. That really helps us a lot. Everybody asks, how can I continue to help you guys grow? That's one way to do it, especially with the new categories. We can compete with others now. We're not going to compete with Barstool and all those kind of guys, but they have it separated out. So help us out there. Download, like, subscribe, leaving us a review is massive. Spread the word. Say, hey, check these guys out. They're about to crush football once again, which a lot of people, I've gotten DMs from people wanting to cancel. I'm like, hey, I'll be back in January. I'm like, do you not play football? And they're like, well, yeah, but you don't do football. I'm like, that's actually my bread and butter. But yeah, I was like, and they had no idea, and it's not their fault. We focus on golf so hard, but my bread and butter is NFL betting. Between Bucks and Tambo, you got 2 of the best in NFL DFS. I do okay. But between those 3, you will make money all fall. I know Bucks is leaving us, but he's not going very far. He'll still be around the slack helping out when he can. So the first tier is 9K or above. Second tier is 7,600 to 8,900. Third tier is 7,500 or less. Fourth tier is a flop, a fade, or sleeper. We'll get into the details when we get there. Bucks, kick us off. Who are 3 guys you must play 9K or above?
I'll keep it short because we're going to cover in E9 after we see the weather, the course conditions. But starting from the bottom up, $9,200 for Adam Scott. Guy has been a ball striking wizard for a long time. His putter is just disgusting. I wish you could turn off certain shot tracker things on the PGA Tour website. But from a ball striking standpoint, the dude is fire. He's long off the tee, great with his long and mid irons, really good with his wedges. So I love Adam Scott at that price point. And he's just been fire from a finishing standpoint over the last couple months. Next guy, and we talked about him last week on the pod, is hitting him before he peaks, and he is still continuing to perform, and that's Justin Thomas. Super long, starting to feel it again. A guy that has been perpetually a fairly good putter, has not been putting well. And so at some point that comes back. And for 10K, I think he has Rory type upside this week. So I really like Justin Thomas. Third guy is the man himself, Rory McIlroy. I mean, best driver of the golf ball on the planet, loves working it right to left. I mentioned it last night on Twitter. There's 10 holes that kind of move a little to the left. Realistically, it's 5 to 6 actual dogleg lefts. But missing it left is the way to go on this golf course. So I freaking love Rory this week. He's by far my favorite golfer of the week. What about?
Yeah, Felice is my number one guy. I think he kind of blends that, hits fairways, is long, great off the tee, hits greens. Like, he kind of has it all for the week. A subpar performance last week, but he's number one in my model overall this week so far. I love him. I'll go back to him. I hope he doesn't catch steam. Second is Cantlay. Finished strong last week. T12, T9 at Conway Farms, T55 at Armeek this time of the year last year. He's coming in with decent recent form, top 20 in rolling stats, long-term, short-term, plus minus, okay on these kind of greens. He's 11th in my stat model overall. Sometimes he gets a little off on the fairway, but I don't hate that. He's a guy that, like you said, if it plays like we expect right now, I really like Cantlay. If it changes some, I may change my mind there. I hope some guys are off. Yeah, I hope some guys are off of him. I'm on Rory with a big asterisk. If DJ can just give me a call, just give me a call.
If he can just you're all in, we get it.
No, I don't care about that. He's going to be under 15%. There's no way in hell he's getting above 15%. Now this week's going to be like, this is the first time it worried me that, I mean, you're a way better golfer than me, but the two-way miss and what was crazy how quick it went away, because Thursday and Friday he drove the ball better than anybody in the field, and it went away like quick, and I was like, holy shit, I fully expected it to rebound Sunday and then look back and think Saturday was the anomaly, and then he blows it left on first tee Sunday, and I shut my DK. I knew I was fucking done then. I was like, this dude, he's done. I gotta give the swear jar now because this is Monday, but at 10-7. I'd be all over DJ, but I don't know if I can get there this week. It's consistently been a problem with him, and he's just not great form for that price, and I'd rather pay for Rory. What'll be interesting is to see where the Rory Brooks ownership goes, because they're a lot closer in price this week than they were last week, and so I am interested to see where that is. I do agree with you to the right to left, which is the guy that won last week obviously loves that as well, so I'm interested to get your thoughts there to see if he can go back to back. But that's where I'm at. Rory, Cantlay, and Fleece are my official top 3. I'll lead off to 7,600 to 8,900. It's pretty cut and dry for me right now. There is another guy I kind of like. I got him in the round table wrap up, but I like Casey. I like Matsu. I love Matsu. I mean, you're going to give me Matsu 50-1 and 8,200 as probably the best, one of the best striker approach guys in the game. I'll continue to take him and to talk to our boy Tambo, who likes to talk shit on him when he's over 10K. Well, now he's 8,200, so I know Tambo will suck him off tonight on the pod because he's 8,200. So, you know, and then the last one's Ryan Moore. Ryan Moore doesn't 700, and he's third in my model, and I deep dive. I'm trying to figure out. I mean, statistic-wise, he looks great. He doesn't have any horrible finishes this time of the year. What used to be the BMW, Conway, Crooked Stick, all that. He's always made the cut, finished decent. At the price, he's worth it. I don't know if you have any opinion there where you're at, but those are my three. I have another guy, a couple guys are really, really close. I'll get into it at the round table, but Casey, for me, where are you at?
I am starting bottom up again. Kokrak, 7,800. Been having a fire year, and I'm not going to stop now. He was typically before this year, and there's a little theme here. Before this year, he was my no cut guy, anyways.
Yep.
Because he could blow up, but he could go just bananas. He's having a banner year this year. I'm going to continue playing. $7,800. Got a slew of top 10. Hits the ball a really long way. Gives himself a ton of opportunities on the greens. Next guy is Casey. Freaking love him. I think at 8,400, he may be the steal of the event.
Yep.
I personally feel he should be up there next to Patrick Cantlay, Adam Scott, and Thomas, up in that range. So $8,400 for one of the most consistent golfers on the planet. Every year is a steal. Next
with
guy,
the week off.
I played him a bit with the week
off.
Sure.
Okay, took a week off last week. Yep.
And then a guy that I hopped on a little bit last week, and I'm going to hop on him again this week. Again, in a event you need to take risk, you need DK scoring, is going to be Tony Finau. He's long off the tee, gives himself a ton of opportunities. He has been more volatile this year than he was last year, but super, super high upside for $8,500. And so I'm going to be all over Finau this week. But yeah, Kokrak, Casey, Finau. I will say, I said it last week on the pod. I'll say it again. There's something up with Matsuyama, and I just don't like. I think it's a timing issue, and with that little pause, timing issues get real bad. But the fact that, and again, I think he's an elite golfer, so it'll come back at some point. But I just think that there's something up with his timing right now, and the fact that he hasn't had a top 25 finish in the last 4 events is a little worrisome. But like you said, $8,200 for that, you can't really argue with the price. So,
yeah,
who do you have? Good.
I agree with that, and you know, they were talking about that yesterday on the broadcast, and he admitted that he was working on some transition stuff. It's just a pricing for me. 8,200, I'm willing to take a few risks there. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I do think Casey's a great play. Obviously, I was on him. I do like he got a week off, so he kind of felt comfortable where he was at in the standings, yada, yada. Normally plays great this time of the year. Is coming in as number 1 in my rolling stat form. So I assume he's going to get super, super chalky. You know, a guy that I have starred for a little bit later to talk about is Fowler. 8,800 seems kind of criminal, but when you look at it, you got to kind of deep dive into why. But
I think that's about right.
What 7,500 or less, lead us off there on some stills of the week.
Yeah, I think so we'll cover some of the low price guys a little later, because I think there's a lot of options at $6,500 or under that you could get weird with. But 3 guys under 75 that I like are all in that low 7 range. First guy's going to be CH3. I really, really like him. He played phenomenal golf at the beginning of the year. He's starting to trend back into that form, but he's long off the tee, really solid ball striker. So I love him. Another guy, Sung Jae-im, ball striker. And we heard it again this week. I feel like we hear every week from a different tour player that he's going to be one of the like perpetual top 10 type guys in the world rankings. Best ball striker guys I've ever seen. And so I said it, I don't know, beginning of the summer, late spring, that at some point in time he was going to win this year. And I'll still keep on that. And it could be this week in a shorter event. But I love Sung J M at $7,200. And then the last guy, I feel like we've been on him for a year and a half. But Neiman at $7,300. I don't consider him super long off the tee. But he's long enough, and he's a phenomenal iron player. So I'm going to play him again at $7,300, which I think is a steal. So who do you got?
I agree with all those. M's a guy that I like at the 100 to 1 value. I like Reevy this week. I'm a little worried based on your kind of thinking it may play not as good as it has in the past. The softer it is, the better for him, I think, because it kind of brings the field level with him. I do like, if you think it's going to be 11 or 12 under, I think Reevy can compete at that price. I'm going to ride the hot hand, and obviously this is a personal close deal for us now, and I'm going to go with HV3. I played him last week. He gets a price bump.
You can't deny he's been playing great golf, man.
Well, and he's ball striking as good as anybody right now. He's not long off the tee, but I feel like he's focused. He's he wants to get to the East Lake, and he knows he has to go out there and play well, but he doesn't put a lot of pressure on himself. I kind of asked him that in a car ride when we were there, and he's like, man, I don't care if I shoot +8 or -8 today. The next day is just another day of golf. Anyway, that's how he wakes up and thinks the day is. And so I don't see him overthinking this week. I think he's like, F it, I'm here. Let's go play golf. That's just kind of his mentality. He may get a little overlooked at that price, so I like it even more. And then, yeah, you're right. I mean, I can't back off. I mean, we all know the Neiman love with me, man crush. He made the cut, did enough last week, but nothing crazy. Did enough to make the top 70. I think he was literally 70th. So he's got to go balls out this week to make the top 30. But I like his game here. I'm on him. Definitely have no issues there. I'll kick off our last, which is flop, fade, and sleeper. Flop is anybody we don't think will return value. Fade is just anybody we're going to fade for ownership, pricing. You don't like what he wears, whatever, doesn't matter. And then sleeper is $6,900 or less. My flop of the week, which is probably kind of surprising, I'm hoping and banking this guy is going to pick up steam after last week, but I don't think this is a course where he can just blow it all over and get away with it, and that's Jordan Spieth. I played him some, so I'm not saying I'm against him or anything, but again, if he's going to be 5 or 6%, I'll change my mind by Wednesday. I assume he's going to pick up some steam just because he naturally has a big following, and with a pretty good performance last week and after a terrible kind of Saturday and bounce back to finish strong, I think people will still stay on him. But I think this course, if you get in trouble quick, it's not going to be as forgiving as what, last week was, in my opinion. I may be way off there, but off the box, I'm going to flop Spieth. I'm going to fade Rose as of now. I like Rose, but I think because he's the lowest price in the 10K, he's the safest kind of play up there. A lot of guys kind of gravitate towards that. I think he potentially could be the highest owned in that range. And so that would be my fade there, because I have a little bit different strategy this week, which we'll get into later as the week goes on in the articles in E9. But I'm going to fade Rose. I'm not, but if he's coming in middle of the pack, I'll change my mind there, and I'll talk about it Wednesday. But I think because of pricing and position and safeness, he's going to be pretty high owned. So that's my fade. And then my sleeper, obviously HV3 fits that category. But my second one is I kind of like Vaughn Taylor. He's coming in really consistent, playing well the last 2 weeks. Not the best off the tee or anything like that, but he's always going to be in the fairway. He's going to give himself a shot. I don't at 6,400. If you got to gravitate down there to make a few plays, especially in the MME build, I like Vaughn Taylor. So that's kind of my sleeper outside of HV3. Who are your three?
So my flop is going to be Kuchar. Even at that price, I just don't like – one, I don't like the way he's been playing, number one. Two, I don't like his game for this setup. One, he likes to hit this wipey fade off the tee, and he's been missing it left. But he likes to hit this wipey fade on a course that you want to miss left if you do miss. So he's been struggling off the tee. He's not long off the tee, so it's a really bad combination. And then for like just a pure fade, I'll say two. One is going to be Tiger, obviously. I mean, even
We're probably the only podcast this week that'll get 40 minutes in without mentioning Tiger, but I did have him marked for later. But
dude, like, I mean, my personal you have 69 golfers this week that technically get 4 rounds. You can't afford to have one guy who decides he can't play 4 rounds and not get you those points. Like, it's super valuable. And I don't think, even at his price, I don't think it's worth it, because I personally don't think he's going to make it the entire event this week.
If you were building 100 and something, would you have any of them or no?
Sure. Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Maybe. Okay.
I mean, it's 70 guys. If I have 100 lineups, I'll probably have 5% Tiger, maybe, but that's only because of price.
Right.
But with the way that I build, especially having 3 to 5 lineups, there's 0% chance I can take that risk in a no-cut event when everybody's getting points 4 straight days. The other guy I was going to mention as like a fade would be Spieth, just because of the way he's hitting it off the tee. This isn't a golf course that you can just blow it everywhere, like you said, and get it done. So he would be my second option. My guy that is $6,500 or less is going to be Ryan Palmer. Guy's been one of the best players on tour this year, been playing phenomenal golf. Again, he is one of my guys that I would typically target for a no-cut event because of his volatility and propensity to score when he's playing well. He gets 4 straight days here no matter what, and I think he can go super low with the best of them. At $6,200, it'll let you get all of the guys, well, not all of them, but it lets you get a few big-name guys up top, which is what you want.
I agree with all that. We're going to go kind of quickly just because we could talk about every single one of these 70s, so it's not worth it.
We're gonna cover a lot of people in the E9 as we understand the course, so yes.
I'll start off just a lead in case we double up. A few guys not really mentioned. Rahm, I don't mind. I continue to struggle with, can he finish? You almost have to bank on he's not going to blow up or get pissed at himself for 4 straight rounds. But in a no-cut event, a lot of scoring, I don't mind Rahm. He's still there for me to make a decision on. Webb, I don't mind. More. We didn't really mention him a whole lot. I agree with your thoughts there. Tiger, we just talked about. He was on my list. I would only think about him if I'm 20 lineups or more, which means I only have to have him in one to be about 5%. I think he's going to come in 5 to 8% because of what you talked about. People are going to be scared that you can't afford to have a guy not play 4 rounds this week. You're not cashing with a guy if he withdraws, period. It's just not happening because it's not like a miscut where the odds are there, whatever. Like, majority of the field is going to have 6 guys for 4 rounds, so it's not happening. Which this next guy is a threat anytime, and it's Usti. You know, I don't think in this format you'd worry about it, but I like him a lot this week. I'm interested to see where he gets talked up at 8,700. He's got good history this time of the year. He's got good form. He's got good game. He loves the big stage, majors, all that kind of stuff. He's a guy that's on my list. Then the last 2 for me was Fowler, which I think if he's going to kind of
no bueno, homeboy. I personally don't like Fowler this week.
And he's not great. He's not great in my model, but at 8,300, I certainly, even if I'm building 5 or 10, I don't mind Bryson at all. So where are you at on the round table?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Fowler this week. I'm not a fan of Bryson this week. I love Usti. I put him in the same conversation as Casey. Kind of super, when he plays, super consistent, always kind of knocking on that door. The only other guy that kind of we didn't really mention that I wanted to throw out there, and I'm not sure if you mentioned him because he cut out a little bit, was Patrick Reed. I do think he can go back to back. We've seen him in the past. When he gets hot, he gets real hot. This is a golf course that's going to suit his natural ball flight, and he's playing phenomenal golf. And so we said it last week on the pod that he was 100% in my lineups. And he was in the same conversation as Justin Thomas, where we wanted to find the guy before he peaked, and he was the one that we put in that conversation. And I think, hey, buddy.
What's up, buddy? Say hi. Can you say hi? Say hi to
What's
everybody.
up?
Thanks.
Love the shirt, dude. But he was in the same conversation as Justin Thomas last week for us. And it paid off. And I still think he's there. Like, obviously he's kind of broken through that wall and won, but he's one of those guys that I firmly believe could go back to back.
So I got two questions. Why off Bryson? Does that have anything? And I'll tell people right now, we aren't a pod. We've cut back on the hoorahs and kumbayas and all that, and we cut back on the. I'm not a big bullshit Twitter talk about. I just don't get into it because I have too much other shit going on in my life, and I engage it and I look at it, but I'm not gonna. These pods, people, I've learned over the year or 80 episodes now that people love that information, but when they listen to a pod, they want to know the shit for this week and they want to know it quick, and so that's why we're geared towards that, but. Without getting into all the slow-based stuff, is there a reason you don't like Bryson other than personality or anything, or you just think that he's going to be distracted?
No, I said it last week. I think he's been struggling. He's a guy that will turn it around for sure at some point. It's just who he is. He's a gamer. But he's been struggling. He's admitted he's been struggling. He said he was going through a hard reset with his equipment and his game. And even last week, like he had glimpses of playing really well, and he had glimpses that he wasn't playing really well. And I personally don't consider him. If you asked me to name 20 guys that I think could win this week, he wouldn't be in that conversation for me.
Really? Wow.
Just because of him struggling recently. And to be honest with you, for a guy, and maybe I'm completely off maybe, but you got a guy that is so analytical and is so focused on thinking his way around a golf course, and he's going to go try to play 4 straight rounds with everybody timing him. And everything he does on every single shot, he's going to be thinking about how fast he's doing it. And I personally think that could be a benefit to him at some point, but he's going to be thinking about that every single golf shot next week. And at an event like this, with a field like this, one thought that costs him maybe 1 stroke, 2 strokes over 72 holes is the difference between top 10 and top 30, or the difference between a win and a top 10 or something like that. And so that's really big.
I agree. And I think you nailed it. And it can go one of two ways. Like you said, it can motivate him to win, or if he fucks up that's twice. And he thinks it's because he's being rushed or whatever, he's going to lose it mentally. And now he's gone. So it's a very risky play. If he's low owned, I'll take the risk. If he somehow gets hyped up, then I'll maybe pass. I do want to say that my motto is going to come out right after the pod. JT's not very high in it, but I'll make a note in the post. The reason being is because a lot of those rounds are counting when he was coming off the injury and all that. Yeah, I personally have JT higher. He's in my pool right now, and he'll be higher come Wednesday. But I want to be fair to some of the podcast that may not be on there. If you just see it and don't think anything else, I think he's live this week, and I don't mind him. I'm interested to see the hype that he gets compared. I'm interested to see Rose and JT, who gets more ownership and talk up there. And I'll kind of make my decision kind of based on that.
There's only 2 guys in the field with 3 straight top 15s, and that's JT and Rom.
Yeah, and I have no problem with JT. I trust him more to close than Rom at this point, but ownership will dictate some this week, just being a no-cut event. JT can go low. We know that. I do like a no-cut event for JT because he can quad and go like 7 birdies in a row. So it benefits him. Yeah. Betting real quick, and then we'll get to one and done and wrap this thing up.
Yes.
40-1 or less. I released 4 plays this morning. One of them I'm going to give away as my freebie of the week here in a minute. But if I was going to go this low, I have it narrowed down pretty to Fleetwood, Cantlay, Casey, and maybe DeChambeau. Is there anybody else you like down here?
Casey and Finau are the only two guys that I liked.
I like the Finau play. I need to look more into him. I think you made a good point about the no cut, and I like him a lot. He did get pushed up a lot more last week than I wasn't on the pod with you guys, but I thought he was going to come in low, and he wound up being one of the highest in that price range, so it kind of surprised me. But I do like him. 45 to 75 to 1. My freebie of the week is 50 to 1 Matsu. I mean, for a guy that elite, I just think that's a great number. Do I think he can win? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put him as a favorite, but 50 to 1 for Matsu any week, I'm going to take it. I may go back to Morikawa. I like Ryan Moore answers there, and maybe Benny on. This range is kind of that I may go one low and then sprinkle down at these higher odds. This one's kind of a dead zone other than Matsu and maybe one of those other guys. Is there anybody that you just like a lot right here?
I mean, the two guys that I would look at, and I think I wouldn't play him betting because I'm going to have him on DK is Kokrak. The other guy that I really like this week that we didn't talk about that I would bet him because I don't have any right now on DK is Benny on. I really do like him this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. And he's on my short list, as I said. 80 to 120. I really only have two guys right now. And one of them is kind of that FOMO Neiman. I love the number. And then Sung Jae isn't really popping anywhere, but I like him in a no-cut event. And if I had each way, I definitely would bet him already. But those two are the guys I like. Anybody else you like, or do you like either one of those as well?
Love Neiman, love Sung Jae, and love CH3.
Yeah, I don't mind that as well. CH3 would be a great each-way bet if you had that access. Deep dark horse. Anybody you like out there?
Dude, like Ryan Palmer at 200 is just ridiculous in my mind. Kevin Tway is another guy that I consider a good no-cut type player, has upside. But at 200, I think Ryan Palmer's a way better play. And then you got a guy that has shown kind of his ability to score, and Sung Kang at 350 is, I mean, I might throw a sprinkle on him just because. I mean, a 70 players, no cut. Why not?
Yeah, HE3 is on there, 125 to 1. I don't mind Cameron Champ. I think
I do have a Champ this week.
250 to 1. I think it helps him in a no-cut environment because I don't think he'll have the pressure of that. He can just go play.
Well,
we'll see.
He's also kind of trending in the right direction. He's starting to figure out the irons again right now, which is impressive.
We know he can hit. We know he can hit off the tee.
Dude, yeah.
I may think about putting him in my 3 max this week is how much I like his potential and upside and his price.
He's got 4 rounds, dude.
I sat there
and worry about it.
JB and I watched him for like 20 minutes. He was right next to HV3, I think Tuesday, and the dude was just striping it. And then he was just like not even caring. Just he'd mess around for 5 minutes, wouldn't hit a shot, and then he'd hit like 4, and they'd be perfect. And then he'd mess around. He feels comfortable. To me, that's an anecdotal observation for being there. But 250 to 1, he's worth the risk. Furyk, I wouldn't mind looking at 140-ish, but that's only if I think it's going to play soft, kind of like you mentioned. But if it's going to be a hard pin and roll, he won't have a chance to win it. But I definitely would be on him on some matchups this week because I think he can grind out if he gets the right matchup on the betting side. With that, before we go to one and done, I will say I've had a ton of requests for this. I am looking into doing a betting only pod in the spring for golf. It'll be like a 30-minute Tuesday night type deal if I can get the right partner. A lot of people request that because we don't get to go deep dive betting. And really, I'm not ready to go deep dive betting on a Monday. So for the guys asking out there, I'm looking into it. I want to make sure for the family and everything else it works out, but that is on my list to get done. Bucks, you are catching up in a hurry.
Damn right.
You are 2 million back here. Both of us have our second lineup is way better, and we're both in the money right now. We're both sweating it out a little bit. Not as much as OG. Holy shit, that dude, he may have hit 3 winners in the last 4 or something. I mean, he's up in the top 30 now, and he was way out of it.
Awesome.
So congrats to OG. I hope he wins it if one of us don't. But you're 2 million back, 2 tourneys to go. anything can happen. You used Fleetwood last week for 27,000. I used Morikawa last week for 21,000. Bucks, you win it last week. So where are you at this week?
I am going Patrick Reed.
Wow, you still have him available. That's impressive.
Damn right I have him available. I know what I'm doing.
It's probably because you missed like 8 weeks and you're throwing him in
That's
on
a
one of the weeks.
fact. Yes. But the 3 guys I have rolling out this week are Patrick Reed, my second lineup, which is doing good. I still have a chance to come top 100, is going to be Adam Scott.
Okay.
And then my third lineup is
Rose?
Yeah, it might be Rose. It's one of those
That's what
guys
he's
up top.
Yeah.
So
I am going – my second lineup is the one I had the best chance of, but my first one I'm going to ride our boy HV3. I'm going to officially pick him there. I think he can top 5
I can't even
this.
root against him. I can't even root against you this week. That's brutal, dude.
My second lineup, I'm down to 2 guys. Sung Jae is one of them. I don't really think I may play. I don't know where I'm at on DK wise, but I think he's a sneaky enough play that if I could hit him as a winner on a whim, I could really jump up and have a chance next week. I will use, and this is just advice to people out there, my second is my best chance to win. I will not use a favorite guy. I'm going to try to find someone that, because I'm in the money, but not really worth. I mean, I want to hit someone. If they hit, I jump 100 spots type of deal. So that's my advice.
Well, how many players do you think like in Adam Scott? How many guys do you think have like Adam Scott left or Patrick Reed left or Justin Rose left? I mean, it can't be many.
No, right. And if you have one of those guys, if you have like a Rory, a DJ, or you got to play him. There's not many that have them. Just play him. If you don't, you got to pick and choose where you think who may be popular this week, or find a sneaky guy that's hot. And that's kind of why I think HV3, even if I didn't have the experience 2 weeks ago, he's coming in form. He's coming in hot. I like him.
1.6 million to the winner this week. So you have potential.
Bucks, before I wrap it up, any final thoughts for you before we head to the E9 Wednesday night?
No. Well, yeah, I'll say real quick. Who knows what next week's going to be like from a DK contest perspective, but I will for sure be on the next couple weeks on the podcast, whether it's SmashFactor, whether we kick off some sort of NFL pod, something like that. I'll definitely be on from a content perspective in the next few weeks. I'm hoping DK steps up and does some contests for next week because I love the golf course next week. I love that event. And so even if it's a short field, or not if, even though it's a short field, I hope DK steps up and we can finish out the year strong. And then it's full 100% into football, man. We have a lot of stuff coming out for NFL. And then if you haven't checked it out yet, some of the college football content that we just put out, Bobby put out, is just phenomenal. So check that out for sure.
As always, yeah, you're not gonna get tears out of me tonight. I'm not ready for that yet again. But we always appreciate it. Yes, last year, just to clarify, DK did run contests for the Pro Championship. The issue is understanding how they're going to handle Brooks or Reed or Rory or whoever has -10. Are they just going to cut out? That's what we're unsure of. But I'm 90% sure they're going to do something. It just may not be very big. That's why we're kind of calling this the last big week. We will be in the Wednesday night chat, 9:00 Eastern. I'll asterisk that in saying, and everybody knows Josh asked for prayers a few weeks ago. That got postponed for unforeseen circumstances. We need those prayers again tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Family's always first here, and if JB can't make it Wednesday, I'll be wall to wall in the Slack. We may not. I may go Periscope or something, or me and Bucks try to figure something out. But yeah, stay tuned with us. JB's a man, so we'll respect whatever's going on there. obviously it's in God's hand, and we think everything's going to be fine tomorrow. But JB can use all the prayers and thoughts tonight that you guys can give them.
Yeah, boy.
So we will do something next Monday. I don't know what it is. I'll allude to it later. We will have a kickoff football next week that I will ask Bucks to be a part of. If he can be a part of, that'll be great. Bobby absolutely slayed the college football process article. If you haven't read it yet, go check it out.
And
If you're not
college
a member,
football may be your biggest potential edge in all of DFS right now. So hop on.
And I think with Bobby, myself, and then some of the tools we're going to develop, I think we're going to be on the forefront of anybody else in the industry. There's probably one person that I would put up that I think's as good or better in any given day, and it's my boy Adon. Yeah, and Adon's very close. Yeah, and Adon and Bobby battled out many times. I've won the 222 last year once. Adon and Bobby, I think, won it maybe every single other week. Them guys are – Adon's way better at college than I am football or NFL, and vice versa. I think I'm a little better NFL than he is as far as betting. But him and I are great, great, great friends, and I respect that dude, and I love that he crushed the 100K a couple weeks ago. His wife's a sweetheart. They came over our house during the Valero. That dude I put up against anybody, but having Bobby on our side, and I will tell you personally, and Adon, and I'm saying it properly, so I know the big battle between Mayo and all. I asked him because I felt like I was saying it wrong. He goes, "It's Adon," and I said, "Thank you." Yeah, Adon. And so I said, I met him at Valero for the first time in person, and so with him. And what he does is great. Bobby, and he DM'd me because I asked him, I said, "Hey, what do you think about this guy?" I got him on. I showed him the article. This is last year. And he goes, "That dude's good. He's really, really great." And Adon, he's like, obviously Adon's very confident in himself, as he should be, but he thought Bobby's work was very valid and worth it, which I do too. He does a great job. He's got his own podcast with his crew, which is great because we don't really have time to do 19 podcasts a week. And I'll push the Power 5 that they do. They do some great work. I'll get information so you guys can get that. But our football, I'm not saying it's the best out there. We have the most tools, as all these big guys that spend a bunch of money, but pound for pound, I feel what we provide in the fall will be as good as anybody. So give us a try. If you're on now, there's no reason to leave. Spread the word as you guys see stuff. We've asked many times for feedback. We're going to adapt and make things great. I'm looking forward to the fall season. It is my bread and butter. It is what I believe in. It's football to me is what golf is the Bucks. And I default to Bucks on certain golf things because I don't act egotistical to say, well, I know everything. I don't. I didn't grow up playing golf. I still learn today. Football, if you didn't ever put them shoulder pads on, especially at one of the highest levels or anything like that, there's a different side to football that I think we can bring in. And obviously Bobby played at Notre Dame. He's high level as well. So I think we're going to have a great football season this year, and I hope you guys come join us. Lastly, with that, and we'll roll it out tonight, but you can join now. For a month, you'll get the first 2 weeks of college football, the opening weekend in NFL, all the golf in between, and it's normally $14.99 monthly, $119.99 for a year. Our year is 365 days, so you do the next year at the same time. This week, we're going to do a code NFL. You get 20% off all that. We have a weekly option if you want it, but there's no discount there. It's $4.99 a week. As mentioned last week, we are going to introduce some premium football and premium golf tools in the fall. It's going to be exciting. Rick Rungood is not joining. We're doing a joint venture there. We're working behind the scenes. We're going to have some awesome stuff there. We're going to have some awesome stuff for the golf this time next week, and maybe Wednesday night in the E9 if I can get the guy to commit to be okay. I'll announce who's going to do all of our golf tools for the fall swing and into the next season and beyond. It's a great get. Well-respected guy in the industry. I think you guys will like it. We're already working on stuff for the fall swing. It's going to be awesome. Come join us. My final thoughts is kind of all that. We are growing. Everything you guys can do to help us is we really truly respect it. The Slack is just amazing. There's so many great stories in there. Anybody that joins, and I sent like 8 messages to the team today of people that have joined and be like, I just joined 6 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. I can't believe I missed this out. I've made 100 times my investment in the last 20 weeks being with you guys. I ran my numbers in the last month. You guys, I mean, it's on and on and on, which we don't brag about or talk about, but this is our platform to kind of say the family is there, and that's what we believe in. We're a little different than others in the industry, I believe, and for that reason, give us a chance. If you hate it, you can bow out. There's no commitment long term. If you love it, which I think you will, it's the best place to be in this fall. We're going to kill it. Bucks, you know I love you. Next week will be difficult. We'll get through it, obviously, but you're not going too far away. I won't let you. And Mama Gup got your message, and she said she's not letting you either. So next week we will have some kind of pod Monday. It may be a recap. It may be a short term. We're going to have our big kickoff pod. If Bucks will join us, me, Tambo, and Bucks will kick it off next week. Look forward to seeing all you guys, and we'll see you Wednesday night in the E9.
SmashFactor.